Okay. We hear, oh gosh, I have a frog in my throat. I'm sorry. We're gonna get through this. I think if I talk a little lower, it doesn't sound as bad. Maybe. Anyways, hi everyone, I'm April, and you're watching The Tangled Cat Speaks, and this is a book edition. So, I'm a little bit later than I should be, about a week late, but that's okay. Life happens, and here we are doing this now. Yay! So let's talk about the things that I read in January, and then we'll talk about the things that I am currently reading and will continue to read in February. So let's start with this one. Now this is part of a kind of like a series of books by J. Sterling, and I can't remember what she calls it, but it's like a series of romance, really short romances, one a month, and for each one is themed around a holiday or season that occurs in that month. So in January, I read Kissing My Coworker, and obviously this was based around New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. When I first got this series, I wasn't sure how spicy the romance was going to be. There is some sexy time in this, but it's not a lot. It doesn't take up very many pages, and it was enough for me to handle. I don't like when there is a whole lot of sexy time in a book. A little bit is okay, but when that's the whole main thing, I don't care. I just stopped caring about the book because I want the story, the plot. So this has just the right amount of sexy time for my taste, and I enjoyed it. It is all about a woman who falls into a relationship with her boss. Well, it's kind of they both are like attracted to each other, but neither one wants to say anything. And then it escalates, and then at a New Year's Eve party, things happen. So it's very light, very, very easy to read. I really enjoyed it. So I guess that means I'm going to keep on with the other ones for the rest of the year, one a month. So that was this one. Where am I going to put all of these? I'm done talking about them. There's no room on my table. Okay. The next things that I read are the next books 8, 9, and 10 in the Tea Shop Mystery Series by Laura Childs. So in order, what I read was Dragonwell Dead, and then The Silver Needle Murder, and then Oolong Dead. So again, I don't really talk too much about these books because they're your very typical formulaic cozy mystery. This one is set in and around a tea shop, and the owner of the tea shop, she's your main protagonist. She's the one who's going to end up doing all of the amateur sleuthing, and they're fun, they're light. I really enjoy them. They talk a lot about tea. These particular ones have recipes in the back for different types of ways to serve tea, as well as baked goods. So, I have a really good time with these, but they're all pretty similar. I mean, she stumbles across a dead body, and nobody seems to think it's weird that 10 books in, she keeps finding dead people. And the police are just like, yeah, sure, tell her all the information. And I think I was irritated with, which one was it? I think it was this last one. Yes, in this one, I was a little bit irritated because the dead body was found in a building where there was an event going on, like a multiple day event. And after the body was found, it was not cordoned off and, no, you can't go in there, that's a crime scene. And they still continued with the event in the building. And I was like, okay, that's a little much. But again, it's a lighthearted, cozy mystery. Still enjoyed it despite that one little flaw in that one particular book. Let's see. Another physical book that I finished. I think I started this one in December, but I just finished it now in January. And this is Alchemized by Senlin Yu. And I'm not keeping this book. Honestly, when I was in the Barnes & Noble one day, I got this book strictly because it is a very cool, and it pulls you in. The cover just pulls you in. It's so cool, and I'm like, I want to know what's going on in this world. And overall, I would say that I liked the story. I enjoyed it for the most part. But there is one big glaring situation that I wished wasn't in there. And that has to do with sexual assault. Now, I've read many fantasy books and even like historical fiction books where that is part of the story. And I can get through it because in those books, the bad guy is the bad guy, is the bad guy, he's the bad guy. In this one, they give the doer of the deed a reason, and it's supposed to be this plausible, excusable reason. Then they make sure to show us that the victim is okay with it. And it just so happens that these two are the romantic element. So even though that happens, the romantic element continues, and I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I'm not going to get into what his reasonings and justification or whatever is, or are, or whatever. Just in case you want to read it. Like I say, it's not the act itself that I don't like being in the book. It's the way that it was treated. Yeah, didn't like that part. So I don't feel good keeping this book. I'm glad I read it. And if this author writes something else in the future, I might take a look at it. But no, I'm not keeping this book. As pretty as the cover is, I'm not keeping this book. I'm going to put that one in a little free library, as I am with all of the ones that I just showed you. So those were my physical books for January. I did listen to one audiobook, and that was called The Housekeeper and the Professor. And this was a story that was translated from Japanese into English, and the author is Yoko Ogawa. And this one was a surprise. This was just a random one that I found. I don't know how I came across it, actually. I do know that I'm going to try to listen to other audiobooks by this author because I really enjoyed it. This one involves a woman who is a caregiver for a man who he only has like an hour and a half or something of short-term memory. Every hour and a half, everything resets in his brain and he's completely forgotten stuff. He's taken to writing like notes for himself to try to understand things, but for the most part, everything is gone. Now, his long-term memory, he's got a lot of memories of stuff from way back when he was younger, and those things are clear. And he is, I think he's like a math professor. He used to do a lot of things with very high level math, and all of that is still there. Now, he was always, when she first comes into his home, she's told that he doesn't interact. He's very not independent. He keeps to himself. He's always going to be in his room. He just wants to be fed. Don't interrupt him when he's doing anything math. I think at this point, because of his situation, the math that he does is more for contests, and he wins money from these contests. So he's always doing some sort of huge math problem. And don't interrupt him. Don't break the flow, anything like that. And So that's her warning. But then, and he does make a note that, oh, this is a new housekeeper, her name is this and that, so that when she comes in, she she kind of points to his note, and then he's like, okay, I'm good, this isn't just some random stranger, this is her. But there's still very limited communication between them at first, but he starts to for some reason really open up to her, and it has a lot to do with that she's actually interested in what he has to say about math. And that is a profound what's the word I'm looking for? It changes her because she starts to actually want to learn. She wants to become more knowledgeable in what he's teaching her. And so she starts studying the math to try to keep up with what he's saying. And that really impresses him. So they do start to form a little bit of a bond, even though his memory keeps resetting. But there's a feeling there, and he's picking up on that. And at some point he does find out that she leaves her child at home to be with him because that's her job. And he's like, well, no, he can't be at home, bring him. And he really makes a connection with this young boy, and it's all centered around math. It's a really good story. It was very interesting. I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed it. Yeah, so I'm definitely gonna try to get find I borrowed it from the library, so I'm definitely going to try to find more by this author at the library so that I can listen to them, because I very much enjoyed it. And then as far as ebooks, I'm slowly, very, very slowly, I don't remember when I started this book, The Case Files of Aldous Vescard, and I have been reading this, seems like months and months and months, because there's other things that I'm reading, and it's not, I don't pick up my Kindle as often as the physical books. And then I've also been doing my crafting projects and watching television shows and stuff like that. So my ebook does suffer, even though I've got so many books on there. And I am enjoying The Case Files of Aldous Vescard, and I am finally at the 50% mark. But this is the one that I've been mentioning, is a kind of a I don't know if it's steampunk. It's like a clockwork. Everything is like clockwork, mechanical, but there's also like alchemy involved, magic. There's weird creatures, and this one particular guy, Aldous Vescard, is sort of a freelance detective. He's not really with law enforcement, but he's always called in because he's very knowledgeable in some of these magical elements. And he had experimented on himself at one point, so now he has this energy inside of him that he has to wear these special wristbands that keeps that contained, because otherwise he turns into this big flaming ball of fire with intention. It's sentient and it's with intention, and he can barbecue people within a split second. So he has to wear these special wristbands to keep it under control. And when that happens, it's actually very painful for him, but he can't stop it. He has to endure the pain because this creature that he's become, this big old burning ball of rage, is he can't control it. And so this story is made up of a bunch of different little episodes where he's dealing with this bad guy or that bad situation. And now that I'm at the halfway mark, I'm starting to see that it's all one big story. All these little stories are starting to culminate into the overall story, into one big mystery, because that's really what it is detective stories and mystery. So very much enjoying it. I just don't pull it out often enough, sadly, but I am really, really enjoying it. And that is going to lead us into what I am now reading for February. So January was my cozy January. That's why I read the 3 cozy mysteries. Obviously, I'm reading other things besides what that particular theme of the month is, but that's the main theme. This is also it's sci-fi, but also fantasy in my opinion. And I am going to continue reading this as often as I can in February. So that's one of my February to-dos. So the next monthly romance thing is going to be this book by Jay Sterling, Dumped for Valentine's. I'm not going to start this until around Valentine's Day, so I'm going to finish the book that I'm currently reading, then I'll get to this. I don't really know what's going on with it, other than it has to do with being dumped on Valentine's. But I'm hoping that it's going to be like the other one, where there's just a little bit of spicy. And what I am currently reading is the Fianavar trilogy by Guy Gabriel Kay. Now, I've heard a lot of things on YouTube, BookTube, or whatever, about how well Guy Gabriel Kay writes. His books are always very intriguing, a lot of good things, but most people say don't read this trilogy first because it's not his best. Now, I like to read things by authors. If I have a whole bunch of books by a particular author, I like to read them in the order that they were published, usually. And so, but that is what I'm doing in this case. So I went ahead and read it first, or I'm reading it first, I should say. And I am about halfway through The Summer Tree. It's a really cool cover. Really enjoying that. The story itself, I can see why people who really love Guy Gabriel Kay's works don't recommend this as someone's first example of him, because it is kind of what should I say? It seems very, if there wasn't certain violent things going on, I would have said that this was more of a young adult, like early young adult, like maybe middle grade to early high school young adult type of story. It's kind of simplistic, and there's a lot of things where you just gotta kind of, okay, I guess that's happening, because there's these 5 college students in Canada, and they are approached by these 2 guys. One's a dwarf and one's kind of tall, and they're told, oh, he's a mage, this is a dwarf, we come from a whole other world that kind of runs parallel to this one, and we need to take you back for a particular thing that we have to figure out, and you are necessary. So they're like, oh, okay. So they just go, and they just start going on these little mini adventures, and there's no question as to if the people that they're with are even the good guys. That's what I'm wondering, if there's going to be some kind of, oh, we were recruited by the wrong side, So I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but like, that's what I'm saying. There's just like, they don't know anything about this world, about this magic, about anything, and they're just like, oh, okay, well, we could do it, and we're gonna do it, and and I think the hardest part for me with that is that when they get there, there's no awe from these modern day college students, and suddenly they're dropped into this world where there's no modern anything. People still ride horses, and there's no mechanical vehicle. There's nothing really mechanical. It's still swords and bows and arrows and kings and castles, but there's no awe by these students to be like, oh wow, there's none of that. So it's quite simplistic. I do have hope that his other works outside of this trilogy or after this trilogy are stronger, because that's what I've been hearing. But I'm still going to continue with this series as of yet. So the next 2, let's see, book 2 is The Wandering Fire. Book 2, yeah. That's also a very cool cover. And then the 3rd book in the trilogy is The Darkest Road. I think that's my favorite because of the dragon. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe it gets better as it goes along, the trilogy. But for right now, I'm intrigued enough to want to keep going, but I can't say that I'm loving it. But we'll see. And I don't think I mentioned that February is Fantasy February, which is why I'm reading that series. And then this other series, or not series, this other book, I guess this would be considered fantasy. This is Stephen Fry's Mythos, which is retold Greek myths. So I'm gonna go ahead and categorize that as fantasy, and so that's what I'm gonna be reading next. I'm assuming that it's gonna be like little short snippets of all of the major Greek mythology stories that we all know and love, and I'm actually very excited by this. So that one might take me a while though, because I haven't been devoting a whole lot of time to reading this month, and I really need to, especially because it is the shortest month of the year. And for some reason, when I was at the library one day, I decided that I was going to pick up these two books. These are definitely young adult, middle grade type stories by Carly Ann West. These are the Ghosts of Nameless Island 1 and 2. And the covers just grabbed me. They were kind of on a display, so I didn't see them like this. I saw the covers and I'm like, those look cool and I want to read them. So, and those I would also say are fantasy, because it involves ghosts and the boy who could fly. So yeah, those are the physical books that I'm planning to read for February. Then, as I said, my ebook, I'm going to continue The Case Files of Aldous Vescard on my Kindle. And then audio is going to be, because February is Black History Month, this one was recommended to me. It's called Red Clay by Charles B. Francher. And I think that follows a family who are slaves on a plantation, and they work in the house. So you've got the wife who is the cook, and I think the husband is like, I don't know if he would be considered a butler, but he kind of, he's kind of like the man around the house that helps the owner, driving him places and all kinds of random odd jobs. And then if I have time, I want to listen to Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. And I swear that I had a physical copy of that, but I can't seem to find it. But I do also have this on Kindle. So maybe that's why I don't have it. Maybe I got rid of it after getting it on the Kindle. I don't know. But I swear, my memory is telling me that I owned this book physically at one point, but I can't seem to find it now. Yeah, that is pretty much all that I did for January and what I'm planning to do for February. Do you have any plans for February reading? And do you happen to do anything like I do, where I kind of have a particular theme that I try to stick to every month? Let me know what your reading for this next month is, and let me know what you've read recently. I'd like to know. But I want to thank you for joining me yet again, and I will see you again next time. Bye.